I'm excited about it. Um, I'm really glad you're here. I, you know, um, it's pretty heavy out there, and I realized the other week I was trying to push through, regardless of how I felt. I was trying to be everything to everyone and show up everywhere, 100%, and I just realized that it's really unfair of me to um, tell people to listen to their bodies and to try to take care of themselves and things like that if I wasn't going to do it too. So, so I took, um, a, I just gave myself some room. I gave myself some room. I didn't take time off. It's not in my nature so much, but I gave myself some room. So I also wanted to make sure I could show up 100%, and I just can't do that. Feeling the way I had been feeling, but you know what? I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better this week. Anyway, I hope people are feeling okay. I hope everyone's taking care of themselves. I'm really, really glad you're here. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Caroline, and I'm a dating and burnout and breakup coach. And I'm also a former matchmaker, and that's how I really came to this role. For years, my work has been focused on like helping people who want like a committed, healthy relationship but feel like really worn down and discouraged or just emotionally tired by the process and by dating. And I think that it's just such a relatable feeling. So while I was a matchmaker, I realized that most people are not just like one more date away from finding their perfect match, right? But they have like way more control over their romantic futures and just their lives in general when they turned inward and focused on discovering, defining, and then deploying what actually drives them and how that relates to their decisions, and how they align themselves to their goals. So, in short, it's what you do, why you do it, and truly how it impacts your life. So, most people I work with are thoughtful, they're capable, they're self aware, they've done a lot of personal growth, and they know what they want, right? But still, like, dating starts to feel like just so much heavier than it should. Like, it's supposed to be kind of fun, right? So that's what we're really going to talk about today. And that's really where a lot of the things I do kind of sit, right? It's, I want to name something that I see a lot, which is that, people still want love, but they're just tired of how the process feels, right? And they're tired of how dating feels. So it's this idea that like you're not like confused about your desire for for a partnership. You're just exhausted by how much emotional weight that the process seems to carry in your life, right? So for many people, like dating can slowly become a place where like hope, reassurance, and stability are supposed to come from. And that's like just a lot to ask of something that is pretty uncertain by nature, right? Just you don't have full control of this, about whether you meet someone, if their timing's right, if their headspace is right, if they're like, you don't really have control over a lot of it. So it's a lot of weight to put on that. So in this session, like we're going to talk about how it's not like about trying harder or like fixing yourself or changing yourself to make dating work. And honestly, like my work is like never about that, right? And it's not about giving up or shutting down or pretending you don't care, but just something more sustainable than that, right? And more universal to your life. You can want love without letting dating be the place where your life finds stability or depth or meaning, right? Because when dating starts running your emotional world, it affects how you make decisions, how you handle rejection, how you attach too early to like potential, right? And how steady you feel day to day. So my intention tonight, some of you it's tonight, is to help you recognize where that imbalance may have crept in and what actually shifts when you rebalance your life so dating stops like carrying so much pressure. So if you find yourself ever thinking, oh, I do that, or that feels familiar, then like this is where you're supposed to be. So we're just gonna focus on what we can do going forward. You know, it's never about judgment. We do the best we can with what we know, right? So this is all about moving forward. And I also want to say one of the reasons I was really excited to do this today is because it is the actual beginning of the fire horse year, even though it's not quite Lunar New Year yet. So I really treat today as also Lunar New Year, which means wearing red and really focusing on good things, positive things, and making sure that my actions align with the things I say. Then my intent for the year, my goals for the year. So I was excited about doing this today, and I would suggest that maybe you think about that too, right? As we're going through this, what are you focusing on today that aligns to how you want to feel about the year ahead of you, right? And what you want to achieve this year. So because it's a fire horse year, it's going to be fast. It's going to be fast and it's going to be dramatic. And if you put the pieces into place, you can get there. My last horse year, I remember really, really, really well. And I remember feeling like, God, I hope this goes quickly. Like change comes quickly. I make progress quickly. That's the goal of the year. And that's what happened. So, and it really, the way I started the year and the way I ended the year, completely unrelated to each other. And that was what I wanted. And that was what I worked for. And I kept focusing on. So, if we think about that, that's very hopeful, right? If you start putting the pieces into place now, where could you be by the end of this year, right? Where could you be? Really, sky's the limit. So let's think about that, and the things that you can control, right? So I just want to talk about first, like recognizing patterns that maybe dating has started to carry more weight in your life than it should. Okay. So, one of the things I think about is that, if your mood shifts based on, if you're talking to someone new and your mood is sort of based on whether you get a text, is it a good text? Were they silent? Did they not reply? Or the tone of the date, like beyond the momentary, like if it goes poorly, it impacts other areas of your life for more than just that night. And to be clear, I am always talking about just like a standard level of interaction. Anything more serious, like SA or other aggressive boundary pushing, anything beyond like a normal, basic interaction, that's never what I'm referring to here. Obviously, those kinds of things are going to impact you for a very long time. But if you're just like, oh, that didn't go well, I, felt like I was talking to a wall, or I had to drive all the conversation, or I felt like I was being interrogated or something like that. Like if it doesn't feel good and you're doing more than just walking away going, okay, that didn't really feel good, on to the next, like whatever, then you might be putting too much weight into it, right? Because this is someone you just met, and it shouldn't hold so much. It's kind of like when you're watching The Bachelor, and in the first like week or two, people are being eliminated because the lead doesn't see a future with them, and they're crying and crying, and I'm thinking, you just met this person, right? Like if you're crying because you're tired and you're frustrated and things like that, that's understandable. I think it's like the first night you're up all night or something like that. But if you're crying because you really have been putting so much weight into this total long shot of a situation, and let's say all dates are long shots, right? Then you're putting too much weight into it. Okay. If you replay interactions, like especially early on, kind of like digging for meaning or reassurance, this would show up in like being more concerned about being liked and accepted than about whether you liked them. If you feel urgency to like define things before you actually feel clarity about your own feelings, so you feel like better or safer as quickly as possible, you're rushing through the process to get to where you won't feel uncertainty. And that's definitely a sign. If if dating feels like it determines whether you're moving forward in life or if you are putting your plans on hold or dreaming about doing something like once you have someone at your side, that's another side sign. And I call this like the empty chair because it holds you back the way it would hold you back to drag an empty chair everywhere you go, waiting for someone to sit in it next to you. And I've brought this up a lot, but I really feel like it's a pretty clear metaphor for holding out on living your life until somebody else shows up with, to join in it with you. If you start to feel pessimistic or even just cynical about love, about the possibility of love, like if you're turning your discouragement into massive generalizations about entire genders or generations or regions, and you're just noticing and remembering the bad and never the good, you're already in dating burnout. And if you don't get support soon, it's going to turn into a cycle that not only will take you further from your goals, but it's going to drag down everything in your life, including your health. And that's just science. I have talked about that before. That's just science. Okay. So like you need, for lack of a better term, you need an intervention now on that. Okay. So all these things happen to even self-aware, capable people who know who they are and they know what they want in life. And if you're thinking like, Caroline, I know who I am. I know how this works, and I would never let that happen to me. Like I'm really glad that you feel that way. But I just want to tell you why this happens too often, even if you feel like it doesn't apply to you. It's because dating taps into uncertainty, attachment, and hope at the same time. So you're putting a lot of weight on something you ultimately only have partial control over. And I'm just going to keep saying that until I feel like you get it, right? When there is like an element of mystery or magic, we sometimes place more emphasis on it because it feels novel, it feels special. So when other parts of life feel unstable or overwhelming, dating can easily become the place where we look for relief because love and connection should provide relief, right? Of course, but dating is often neither of those things, right? It's often not connection, right? Or love. It's usually just trying to get to know someone. Of course, like as you're trying to just get to know people and learning about yourself when you're in dating phases, you have to earn the right to ask for and offer that relief through trust that is built over time, right? It's not a flaw. It's just a coping strategy, right? To look for connection where you can find it. It's deeply ingrained in us, but the purposes of that are just not here anymore. We don't have this need to connect for like basic survival anymore. Our needs for connection are deeper than that, and therefore we need to approach it differently. So you pay a cost for feeling this way, right? You pay a cost for putting so much weight on something that you actually can't control. One would be emotional exhaustion. So if you feel like everything is tiring, or just like starting a new conversation with someone is like the last thing you want to do right now, if the idea of getting to know someone new just sounds totally exhausting, like you're already feeling it for sure, okay? Another way it would show up is in poor decision making. So this can show up in doing something really impulsively, like saying yes to an invitation from someone you know is not right for you and you would never be serious about, but you just want to like not be alone right now. Or investing in something too easily because you don't feel like really spending the time to decide if this situation is right for you, which ties into like over investing too early. It's totally normal to blow air into a balloon and not want it to pop, but it can pop, and it does pop or deflate. So over investing too early will not save you from that risk. And in fact, it makes the explosion or deflation way more impactful than it needs to be, than if you had not placed so much emphasis on it. Another thing that is a cost you pay on this is losing touch with your own pace, your own needs and instincts. Because when too much of what determines your emotions and satisfaction is external and it's not under your control, you give up parts of yourself to make space for these things. And that leads to forgetting why you want something and how it should look if it's right for you, right? Part of the reason I developed my program in the first place was because I was talking to all these matchmaking clients who like had so much noise. It was just chaos up there. It was like this person is so much just, they were holding on, and there were no exceptions to this, holding on to a lot of advice and beliefs that had not gotten them anywhere, right? So they were either conflicting, they weren't helpful, they were focused on things that they don't have any control over, or they really believe that there was a shortcut to the lessons that you learn about yourself in the dating process. So they thought, if I hire someone, I don't have to go through all these things I've seen my friends go through and other people go through. They'll just bring me this person I wrote up like a shopping list, and then they'll fit like a perfect puzzle piece and then I won't have to change anything about myself because we'll just fit. That's what they they thought, right? And that's just not how it works. And so that is why I want to support people in figuring out who you are. Why do you want what you want, right? How does that actually look for you? And how is that going to show up? And how are you going to communicate that? And how are you going to recognize it when you see it, right? When you see that match, what's that? What are those signals that you're looking for? What's the information you're trying to get? So you don't end up just following the wrong thing or giving up or getting so muddled you've completely lost track of it. And now, like, anyone who seems kind of nice or kind of interested seems fine, right? I don't want you to settle for fine. Dating, it doesn't like just start running your life all at once. It's just slowly. It goes bit by bit. It's becoming the place you go to in order to like get a certain feeling, even if it doesn't always pay off that way. So what you really need to do is rebalance the weight of it, and then things will change. So when you are rebalanced and dating is carrying the correct, like accurate and appropriate amount of weight in your life, you will enjoy connection without rushing to secure an outcome. You will feel safe within the uncertainty of the early discovery phase. And when you have disappointment, because you will, it doesn't destabilize you. You take your lessons, you do what you need to do to take care of yourself, and then you move forward. you trust your reactions instead of questioning them. So you don't let other people tell you who you are or what you're about because they are trying to get something from you. Like you see motive and you trust what you see and you react appropriately, right? And you can walk away from misalignment without any panic because you know what alignment will feel like. And you know, walking away is part of the process to finding it. So, when you're making these decisions, you will stop negotiating with yourself. You will have your goals defined. You feel totally clear about them, right? Also, your boundaries will feel really natural. They're not going to feel forced. You don't have to explicitly state them over and over and over again, right? If you've ever been in a situation where you've had to explain to someone multiple times the same thing and they're like not getting it, you are misaligned. Stop wasting your time. Move on, right? Like it's not working. Move on. You don't have to explain yourself to someone. You have a boundary. It's your boundary. You don't have to keep going over it, right? If you're moving within your goals and certainty, people who would want to keep pushing at it and testing it can tell that you're not going to budge. So they won't waste their time on you, right? If you're giving them an inkling of room, they're going to take it. And you only give them that inkling because you're not sure and you're questioning yourself. So when you stop doing that, there's no space for someone to push at you that way. And attraction, becomes a lot clearer instead of confusing. You'll know the difference between like, I know this person isn't my type at all, and this person's intriguing. And while they're really different from what I usually go for, I'm curious to find out more. And you won't let anyone talk you into or out of a connection. Like, I think it's a pretty common experience to have a friend or, someone who cares about you try to tell you to give someone another chance when like they're not right for you. But then you give in because at some part of you doesn't trust yourself to make this decision. So now this opinion, this other advice has a little crack and it can worm its way in and you start going, maybe I should try to go out with them again. If you know for sure, it won't matter, right? You'll just know, no, it's not, they're not for me. This is not fit. So let's make sure we're framing this whole conversation correctly because a lot of it is a little amorphous. But I want to say that like dating will get lighter when you weight it correctly, not because you care less, but it's because you understand what it can provide and all of the limitations within it. And you are filling in the gaps with all the things you can control, right? How satisfying and rich your life is in all other areas. It gets lighter because it's like it's no longer carrying your emotional safety. You have that already. So, you don't need dating or a relationship to prove you're okay if your life is already steady and secure. Like, it won't matter when your family or friends ask you if you're seeing anyone or how's dating been going or, oh, you're still single. You'll be like, well, whatever. Like, I know who I am. I know what my life is. If I meet someone who wants to join in on that, that's going to be great, right? But my life goes on without that, and I feel good about it. So there are places to like put your focus instead of like just more dating effort. I will not tell you to just stop dating indefinitely if that love in your life is something you truly want. But I will tell you how you need a break and what to do during that break to take care of yourself and shift your mindset so you're not getting so burned out you feel like you can never come back from it. And I've worked with those people. It's a lot harder to come back from deeply burnt out and cynical than it is from discouragement and some pessimism. Like we can get a lot farther faster if you get support before then, right? You start to recognize these signs and make changes earlier. So steadiness, when I talk about it, it actually comes from all the things we've been touching on. Self trust is so important. And I've talked about this so many times. Emotional regulation, right? Looking not at something you can't control to help bring you back to a secure feeling. Alignment between your values and your daily life. A lot of people say things are important to them and they do very little to show it. When you have that alignment between the two things, you will have so much less room for people who are misaligned with you, right? You will not give time to somebody and start investing in them only to find out that the things um, that you think are really important in life are not at all like on their list, like, or that what they said was just lip service and it wasn't really true and they weren't really living it. When you have that alignment, it is like your this like the I don't want to say it's like everything becomes a satellite around that, right? That alignment, and then everything kind of moves around it. Um, Having meaning in your life that is not dependent on romantic outcomes. It's something that like it's going to add to, but not determine how you feel about your life overall. I mean, that's really all we've been talking about. So, things that you really want to work on, and I can definitely help you work on to strengthen outside of dating in order to rebuild the trust, or to build the trust and steadiness that you need in your life in order to not let dating run it, is your relationship with uncertainty. It's not comfortable for anyone. Some people have more comfort with it than other people, but nothing in life is certain. So it's pretty important that you find a way to become a lot more comfortable with unknowing, right? Your ability to pause and process instead of react. So to think about things rather than automatically feeling like you need to respond right away. And then your sense of direction in your own life. So when you know where you're going and you know what you're doing, you really have a lot less room to waste time on things that aren't aligned with that. So, like, the work I support people in doing is about building a foundation that will sustain you forever. And then dating becomes like one expression, one aspect of a steady life, but it is not the center or definition of it. And the skills to achieve this apply to any relationship, work, family, self confidence, whatever goals you have. They are the same skills that we develop. But there are things I want to make sure you don't do, because sometimes people kind of hear advice and they're not really quite getting it right. Like it's not, maybe I'm not phrasing it right. Maybe you've heard it too many different ways from too many different places. But forcing positivity, right? Which, if you've ever heard someone say, like, oh, you have to manifest, or you have to like frame it as if you've already got it, you've got to fake it till you make it. There is a big difference between stating all opportunities are available to me. That's something you can state, and that is a nice manifestation thing, right? All opportunities are available to me. It's in the present tense. It allows for things to make their way to you, and it changes your brain to recognize those things. But saying, I can do anything I want is a slightly different statement, right? I personally know that there are many things I cannot do. And I would rather open up the possibility for things that are aligned to me than try to use like affirmations to convince me that I belong in rooms or in tasks or whatever that where I don't. Does that make sense? So, pretending you feel other than you do, it gives your body and subconscious mixed signals and takes you farther from your goals. So if you're trying to be a more positive person, there are a lot of authentic ways to do this that are aligned with you and your goals that I'm happy to talk to you more about. So you can tell me in the comments if you want this like as another live topic, a post, a guide, whatever. Or if you want to address it specifically for your life in a free session, that is something we can totally do. Another thing you don't want to do is withdraw completely. And I've done this and it feels so much safer to do this. And if you need to do it for a beat, just do it. But you can't stay invisible in your own life and think that you will still get where you want to go. Anything worth really having and doing and achieving in your life is going to require you to take some risks and stick your neck out. And if it still feels super comfortable to do it, you might not be doing it right, because it should always be like 5 or 10% uncomfortable, scary. Do you think I feel comfortable doing this? I don't. I don't. But I care so much about this type of work and the meaning it can have on your life that I will just get over it. I will keep getting over it and I will keep working on it. Is it ever 100% comfortable? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But do I work on it because it's worth doing? Yes. Yes. So another thing you don't want to do is overcorrect by pretending you don't want love. So I want you to think carefully about any other goal you have ever had and achieved. Did pretending it was not important to you help you get there? No, of course not. Like, the whole reason I do this is because giving up on things you truly want in life is sad. You just have this one life. If there's something you really, really want, don't give up on it. And if I can help anyone to not give up, I want to. If romantic love and a supportive and safe and satisfying relationship is something you want in your life, throwing up your hands and shutting down is just a guaranteed way to never get it. And yeah, it might save you some pain and disappointment and things like that. But what you won't get is the win. You won't. So the goal isn't like less desire for what you want. It's just balancing it better to make working toward it more sustainable. So I just want to close a bit by reflecting back to what I hear most from people who come to me feeling discouraged by dating. They don't want more tips that ultimately are not about authenticity, but rather about manipulation. And in fact, people who want to go to a dating coach to find out what to say to get what they want, figure out pretty quickly I am not the person for them. That's just, I will never do that, and I don't care. Like, when you have done the background work, you don't need that other advice. You don't, because you already understand who you are, how you move, how you communicate, what you're looking for, and you won't need someone to tell you tricks and tips to try to convince someone to do what you want them to do, right? The people I work with, they want calm, they want clarity, and most importantly, they just really want to trust themselves. And if we've been through something really bad, like, I've talked a lot about blindside breakups, they really damage your self-trust. And really, any breakup can damage how much you trust yourself, because there's always this sense of betrayal, and not necessarily from the other person, but your own judgment, right? So if dating has slowly become the emotional center of your life, even in ways you don't fully notice, it makes sense that you feel tired. And it makes sense if you feel reactive or uncertain or stretched kind of thin. And I want to say this really, really clearly. This is work you do. It's not about changing the source of your it's about changing the source of your stability, and it's not about wanting less. Okay? You can love and you can want love without letting dating be the compass of your life. And when you make that shift, dating stops feeling like a referendum on your worth or your life or your future, and it becomes just a part of your life instead of the thing other things revolve around, right? So if you're ready to change how dating fits into your life, I invite you to just book a free breakthrough session with me. Links will be down below. It's just a really focused conversation where we look at where dating may be carrying too much weight, and what needs to shift so you can move forward with more steadiness and clarity and self-trust. Are you catching the themes now? So you don't need to stop wanting the relationship of your dreams or the life goals you want to fulfill. You just need a structure that supports you instead of draining you. So I'll drop all the links in the comment below this recording. And also the link to subscribe to my weekly newsletter. It's just weekly. If you are not already receiving it. So it's the first place I'm going to bring up anything new I'm working on, news on related topics from around the world, and resources that align with my program that other people have put out too. So yeah, I want to really thank you for being here. This is a good way to spend time reflecting. I feel like there's just so much negativity out there. And as that all happens, and I know it feels really heavy, again, you have one life. You're still allowed to focus on your life and what you need to feel fulfilled, while also carrying the weight of the world and all these things you don't have control over. You can do those things at once, and we're all struggling with it. And if I can help you at all to manage that, I want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that, because I would like to be able to help you. I can't think of any time in my life I haven't been holding a lot of different things at once, and I feel as if I know there are real strategies and techniques and tactics you can put to practice to help you in these times, because there will always be something. So that's why I'm so passionate about making sure you take care of yourself in the process of getting to where you want to be. Okay, so thank you so much for being here again, and I'll see you next time.